so special about children, and we'll start it on violence. We'll go to Andrew Maynard for the story. At the Boys and Girls Club, constant chaos, arguments, and fistfights about little things are almost a daily thing. Violence with children is a complicated issue because you can ask, where does the bad influence come from? But there are too many to blame. We need people to influence these kids with good morals. Some influences overpower others, so where can we get good influences? News headlines show that violent behavior among children and adolescents is a serious problem. Homicide is the second leading cause of death for youth ages 10 to 24, and a large fraction of high school students report that they recently carried a knife, gun, or other weapons, increasing the likelihood that confrontations will escalate into lethal violence. For the victims, the physical and emotional toll of the violence affects them in different ways. Some young people turn to substance abuse, while others become violent themselves. Many people think that community violence only happens in gangs in inner cities. It is true that people who are poor, non-white, and living in crowded inner city areas deal with a lot of violence. Community violence also occurs, though, in white middle-class areas, both suburban and rural. All kinds of youth are at risk for community violence. Over one-third of girls and boys across the country ages 10 to 16 are victims of direct violence. Even more children have faced indirect community violence. That is, they have seen violence or they have known a victim of violence. In one study, over 3/4 of children in a high-violence urban area reported coming into contact with community violence. So Andrea, are you saying that one solution is people outside the circle can go in and help change the thought process of the kids and impact their lives to change their ways? Does that make sense? So you're saying people like teachers, mentors, or volunteers can actually go in and help these children change their ways by their good morals? Yes, or the parents of the children can give their children alternates to dealing with quarrels. They could, instead of teaching them to hit back or use violence to deal with the quarrel that will escalate later on to like using weapons, they can teach their children good ways to dealing with problems that they encounter. So basically, if a parent teaches their child to deal with altercations in a positive way, then they could not result in violence when they get into a problem or altercation. They could actually deal with that problem in a positive way. Exactly. Bottom line, these can save lives. Thank you, Andrew, for talking with us.
Hello and welcome. In this segment, we take a close look at teenage alcohol use and drug abuse here in the nation, particularly in Oakland. Drug abuse and alcoholism is a serious problem that stems early on, especially in our public schooling system. This issue perpetuates not only academic struggle, but income difficulties, criminality, and job instability as well. Let's take a look at some of the facts that surround these issues. According to the National Anti-Drug Media Campaign, by the 8th grade, 20% of kids have tried marijuana. This number increases to 42% by the 11th grade. Moreover, in the 8th grade, 34% state that they've tried alcohol, and in the 11th grade this goes up to 49%. Also, when looking at adolescents in middle school, the National Youth Anti-Drug Media Campaign states that 40% of those who start drinking at the age of 13 and 10% of those who start drinking at the age of 17 develop alcohol dependency. However, here in Oakland, drug abuse and alcoholism is higher. In fact, 24% higher than the national surveys depict. Moving on between the correlation between academic struggle and substance abuse, students who drink or use drugs frequently, according to the Anti-Drug Administration, are 5 times more likely to drop out than their substance-free peers. We also must know that 30% of dropouts report that they drink beer weekly, 36% of dropouts report the use of regular marijuana, and 9% of dropouts coincide with methamphetamine, and 5% of dropouts correlate with cocaine abuse. Furthermore, the Oakland school dropout rates are 22% higher than the California state average. They are a whopping 52%. Poverty and academic success are highly related. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the average high school dropout income is only $18,400, near or below the poverty line in accordance to family size. In terms of criminality, drugs, and teens, the National Institute of Justice and Drugs Monitoring System states 66% of male arrestees test positive for marijuana use. In summation, teenage drug abuse and alcoholism is a serious problem that needs to be mitigated in our schools. Otherwise, the future success of our children is dim and scary.